Today, I want to show you 3 data type hacks in no-code automation with make.com. You might be wondering, why is my calculation not working, or why is make behaving in a certain way? And oftentimes that has to do with the data types. So let me show you exactly how you can identify the data types, how you can transform data types, and how you can easily work with them in Make. Stay tuned. Hey, my name is Manuel and I'm the founder of Techflow.ai, and we love automation. If you want to get more videos like this, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications to not miss out on any of this good content. Alright, let's get started with the data types and the 3 data type hacks I've prepared for you. For the first one, you can hover over a variable to identify the data type. We prepared some sample data, and now if you're in the following module, you will always see these values of the previous ones. And now to know exactly what this is, what data type it is, you can hover over the variable. So the text sample is a text. So it shows over here in this, with these symbols, it shows text, and that identifies the data type. Now for the numbers sample, it looks exactly the same. So it looks 1 to 3, 1 to 3. But if we hover over it, it actually shows this is text, which means we can't make calculations with it, otherwise it will fail. And the second one is actually number type. So it shows number over here, and that would work for calculations. And in case we have text, we have to transform the data type first in order to make calculations. Then it also has arrays, so we see the data type array, or even dates. So that one is a date. We have the date sample data type. There we can use date functions to format the date, to add days to it, add hours, add minutes and stuff. And then we have this date over here, which is actually text format. It's not a date format, and therefore we can't use all the date functions, the good stuff that is there with this format. All right, now let's get into the second hack, how to transform these data types into another one so we can actually use it further. All right, so let's use the first example for the number types. We have text format and we want to have number format. Let me demonstrate you first that it does not work. So if I use a math function here, so I say, okay, I have this number 1, 2, 3, and I want to add 7 to it, so I get 130 out. And now if I run this, it will actually provide me something else, which I did not expect. So it shows 1 to 3 and adds the 7 at the end, because the plus symbol, if it's a text type, if you hover over it, even in the editor, you can see the type. If it's a text type, it simply appends the 7, but does not do the actual calculation. And therefore you have to transform it to number first in order to make the calculation. There's a function for that. You can find it in the X tab. It's called Parse number, and that will transform it into a number type. So you will have the number as the first parameter of this function, and then you can define the decimal separator if you need to, like which can be a comma or a dot, for example, of that text number input. In our case, we don't have a decimal separator, so I would just leave that empty, and then we close the parentheses like this. You can also simply use it like this, and it will do its best to parse this number and then do the calculation. So let's rerun it and see if it works now. And we got 130 as a result. And that was all due to the wrong data type that our number had. And this is oftentimes the case if you're working with multiple different tools, multiple different APIs. Oftentimes numbers are not formatted as number, and therefore you might be wondering, hey, why is my calculation not working? A very prominent example for this is Google Sheets. So oftentimes when you get a number from Google Sheets, it's not a number type, and therefore you can't use it for calculations, and you need to use the parse number function first. By the way, if you're not familiar with the functions, we have make functions cheat sheet, which you can download below this video. There's a link in the description, and it really helps you to get a deep dive into all existing functions. You get examples of everything and really learn how to use them to your advantage, because we really use functions for almost everything, and they can save you a ton of operations, and they can really up your level of no-code automation with Make. So make sure to understand functions, to really master them and apply them in your day-to-day use cases. All right, let's get into a second example and check out the date. So our date sample 1 is a date format. So we can use date functions here, for example, at days, and then we can use our date and say 50 days to it. So right now it's May 5th, 2030. And if we run this, it should be June 24th. So that's the output. So we get the date output, June 24th. That's 50 days after our sample. Now, if I try to use the date sample 2 and do the same, it actually fails with an error because it says, okay, the function at days finished with an error because our input date is not a valid date because it is actually a text format. If we hover over it again, we can see it's a text format. So make sure that we transform this into a date format first, and then we can make the calculations. And if we want to have this nice looking format afterwards again, like the 5th of May 2030, then we can use another function, which is the format date function, to get it back into this nice looking format. All right, so how do we do this? It's kind of similar. We first need to use the parse date function. And here we have to define the actual date and time tokens of our input date to tell the function of how our date is structured. And therefore, we need to use the date and time tokens. I will also put them in the link of the description below, which is a link to the help section where you have a table of the date and time tokens, which look like this. And this is basically telling Make how our data is structured. And for hours, we need the DO for the 5th, 2nd, and so on of our date. So that is our first parameter, DO. Then we have a space, and then we have off, and then we have May. So the word off, you can just write it because it's not a reserved token here, the O or the F. And then we have the month fully written out. So we need 4 times the capital M. So 4 times capital M, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have the year, and that is 4 times the Y. Okay, so now this will transform our date into a regular date format. It will have that as output. By the way, it also shows this over here, what the output is of a certain function. So it shows date here because that is what the output data type will be of at days. And then of parse date, it's the same. So the output is also date. And if we look into the format date function right now or after that, it will show that this is text format of the format date function. All right, now we have parsed the date, and then we should be able to do the calculation of adding 50 days to it. And now it worked fine. We have June 24th, which is the same result as before. All right, so that transformed our data type into date format. Now to get back our nice looking format, we can use the format date function. And here, as I said previously, it shows text because the output of this function is a text format. It can be any nicely looking date that you desire. And in our case, for the sake of simplicity, I will just use the same structure as our original input. And then that is it. So just a reminder, if you want to learn about functions, also the date functions, we have it covered all in our Make Functions cheat sheet. Go below this video and download it, and you will have a lot of fun with functions. Now let's run it one more time, and our output now is the 24th of June 2030. This looks really nice. It's fully dynamic, so you can use any date format as input. You now know how to parse it and then make any calculations like adding days, set minutes, and whatever you want, and then returning it back into a nice looking format at the end. I hope this helps. And now let's get into the third data hack. You can use the Parse JSON module to create your raw structure, and you can review the input or output bundles of any module. And this gives you the raw JSON. The raw JSON tells you exactly what kind of data type it is. And if you're not familiar with the JSON, I bet there are thousands of videos out there where you can learn more about what JSON structures there are and how you can read them. But for the sake of simplicity, I will just go through the main 3 ones right now over here, or main 4 ones. We have text, which is simply a string, or can also be called string, and that is surrounded by double quotes. Then here we have another text because it's also surrounded by double quotes. So that's why our number sample 1 got detected as text and the calculation did not work. Then if we have a plain number, this can be 1, 2, 3, or it can have a dot for floating numbers with decimals and then dot something, but there should not be 1,000 separated or something in there. That is our actual number sample and number data type. And we can use that for making calculations. Then we also have arrays. This is a square bracket, and then it has items in it. It can be simply a plain number like this, or it can also be a string or multiple strings. So like it could be, this is a text, then comma, this is a text 2, comma, this is a text 3, and so on. Or it can even have full collections in that array sample. So it can have, like, this one could be one item inside the array to get more data. This is often the case if you have multiple line items in an e-commerce order, for example, and they are stored in an array because it can have one line item, it can have 500 if you're too rich and want to order so much. And then lastly, we have the date sample. This is the standard ISO format. So this is what a regular correctly formatted date looks like. It has the year, the month, the day, then it has a T, and then it has the actual time in 24-hour time format, and then it has the Z at the end, because that is like the Zulu time, 0 UTC time here. And that is what a regular date looks like. And then the date sample, this is again simply a string with double quotes around it, and then you can put anything in here you like. I hope you liked this video. Subscribe to our channel, turn on the notifications if you want to get more like this, and stay tuned for more. Thank you very much for watching.